and nice to see you all. Yeah, so invocation is just asking, you know, for us to be reminded of our higher self. The first line, Om united with the source. Yeah, Om united with the source. What does Om mean to all of you? Sound of the universe, the hum. In the beginning there was the word, and the word was God. And the word was with God. And it was a sound, a hum. The yogis had this word, Om. The Christians, the Catholics use Amen. The Jewish, Shalom. And the Muslims, Amen. You know? So you know when you get all this recognition, electricity is measured in ohms. The first man was called Adam. In home you got Om. And he on the side. H-E and Om. So put your Om in your home and all will be well. So put that energy. So that's what these mantras, just to remind us. Because when we go out in the world, we forget. We forget that we are spirit. We forget that we are soul, just having a material existence. We get so wrapped in the material, we get so worried about things, that we forget there's really nothing to worry about. Because ultimately, we'll go back to energy. We are energy. We will go back to energy. So this mantra reminds us, Om united with the source, that we are always united. We're not separate. On which the yogis ever dwell. What is a yogi? A person? You tell me, what is a yogi? A practitioner of yoga. And what does a practitioner of yoga do?
It's a word to become united with his higher self.
Of course, to constantly be united with that higher self, which is in us, the soul, the spirit, to constantly remember we are spirit. That's yoga. And when you're constantly reminding yourself, I am spirit, how will you live on this earth?
Spiritually.
Spiritually. And what is spiritually? Yeah, you have to live spiritually. You can't talk spiritually to be happy. You will never be happy if you talk spiritually and you don't live it. You have to live it. Alright? So this is invocation. Let us live it. On which the yogis ever dwell. Always remind yourself. Who am I? Always remind yourself. Never forget. The moment you forget, you become miserable. I'm so sorry to tell you that, but it's the truth. The moment you think you're human having these experiences of suffering and pain, you will be this human having this experience of suffering and pain. And pain and suffering from the spirit world, from your spirit, is perfectly normal to remind you who you are. Pain is a reminder. That's all. But you see, if you take pain so seriously, you will suffer a lot. And that's normal. It's normal to suffer. But why suffer so much when yoga offers you a way out? When you remind yourself, oh my God, I'm getting too personally involved here. I really am not in this earth for a very long time. Don't take life so seriously. Have a laugh. The pain softens. It softens. It doesn't go away, but it softens. Because we also have to be human at the same time. As Lord Jesus said, be in the world, but know you are not of this world. We come here to have a human experience. So let's enjoy the human experience, even though, albeit sometimes it's very painful. Okay? Grants desires and liberation. Wow, I love this line. Whatever you desire will be fulfilled. Don't get so stressed out. I need this, I want this. All your desires will be fulfilled. The more you stress out, the more they run away from you. Because you're trying to control. I want this now. I have this desire. I want it now. You're trying to control. Do you see? So where is that greater belief, that greater faith? Not there. And, people go, oh, now you have a lot of faith, but I want this now. Okay, then you don't have faith that is coming to you. Go find yourself. Before I carry on, can you help me? I need to take this off. It feels extremely heavy when I'm talking. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. couldn't do it, sorry. So you see, we really, really have to understand that when we put the buts in, we're not really in that phase. And that's normal, it's human, and that's how we learn, and that's how we understand about other people. But here this mantra says, we'll grant you anything you desire. And when you get anything you desire, you will be liberated from it. Why? Because anything you get in this earth will come to a full stop anyway. So that's why the yogis say, desire peace. Because that's the only thing that never comes to an end and it helps you live a good life. Desire peace. But anything physical you desire, even if you get it, Sri Patanjali, as we did the sutra a few weeks ago, to a man of discrimination, everything is painful. Why? Because once you get what you desire, what happens? Oh, what if I should lose it? What if I should lose it? The fear of losing it comes in. So then you start to realize, everything I desire, even when I get it, still brings pain. And then you come to a point, do you know what? My every desire is already granted. Why don't I see what I have? I may get what I want, but it may not bring me peace. How many times have I seen that, in my life? Oh, I want a big house, and they get it. Becomes a white elephant, too much work, I remember one of my students been praying for a house for a long time. When the frontier opened with Spain, she got her big house. And you would think, wow, my dreams come true. What happened? She was miserable. 6 months later, she was begging her husband to sell. You know why she was miserable? She was lonely. All her friends were back there. The queues were too long. In Gibraltar, she'd walk down from her apartment. She wasn't working. She was extremely wealthy. So she'd have coffee mornings, meet her friend, be involved. But while she was living here, nobody wanted to come and see her. All her friends were there. All her family was there. So that home became her prison. A dream became a prison. And this is what you learn. We all learn with life. It doesn't mean that if you got a nice home, it's going to be your prison. I'm just giving you an example of somebody who wanted so much, If you have a nice home, it should be your palace and your joy. If you have one, enjoy it, share it, have fun in it, because that's your gift. We all have what we need to live life in a most beautiful way. If we think we have too little, we suffer. We think we have too much, we also suffer. So just live with what you have and enjoy it all. Enjoy everything. If you think you have too much, give it away. There are many people in need. Give some things away. But keep something aside for a rainy day, because that's always wisdom. Always wisdom. Be wise. You never know when you might need something. Sometimes I meet very spiritual people. I give everything away. Then I say, what? And for your children to look after you when you're old and give them the headache? That's also not wise. You don't want people to worry. You want to be independent. If you read all the spiritual readings, all of them teach us to be independent. Why? When you feel independent, you feel good about yourself. Don't you? You feel great. You're not needy. You feel good. You feel happy. That's why people who don't like hard work and complain about not having enough, I tell them, it's not that God didn't want to give you enough, it's you don't want to put the work in. You're spoiled. It's the truth, isn't it? It's the truth. If you want anything in life, you will get it. You have to work for it sometimes. And sometimes it's not easy. And that's the tapas. That's where Sri Patanjali tells us in the book, accepting pain for purification. Why does pain come to you? To make you realize that you do have everything you need. You just think you don't. And that letting go of the things you want and you can't have now is extremely painful. All of you know, when you have this desire that's so powerful and so strong, and you can't get it, and you fight to get it, and you still can't get it, when you finally do let it go, you experience a deep pain. But that pain is necessary. for you to let go. And then before you know it, a new beginning happens. Before you know it, it happens. You know the saying, let go, let God, is really true. Yes.
Can I ask you something? Is that letting go also something like an emotion? Something like, for example, you lost a child and you're still with that feeling, or is it only something material?
Oh, definitely, even that. Shall I tell you a nice story about a woman? I was telling that to somebody the other day, I don't know who it was, maybe in Portugal, I don't know. You know, many years ago, I had this lady who lost her daughter, her name was Carmen. She loves me to tell her story. She lost her daughter at the age of 18 in a car accident in Gibraltar. And she was left with the grandson to look after. He was 2 years old then. And her daughter was very young, you know, had the baby out of wedlock. And she obviously had this horrible pain and tears and crying. And those days I used to teach Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursdays in Gibraltar. So she used to come every Tuesday. I saw her over a period of 4 years. And of course, you know, we talk about letting go. But no matter how hard you try, when you lose a child, it's quite impossible. She got better. You know, I made her focus on her grandson and how lucky she was to have such a beautiful boy with her. And she got better, but she never really let go. So one day, I was telling the Tuesday group, Tuesday, especially come on the Tuesday, I said, you know, about last year in August, we had a, what you call, seagull. We have a center in Gibraltar, and it's right in the center of town. You couldn't get more closed in, you know, because the government gave us the center. So it's right in the center of town. August 18th was the day, and isn't it interesting that about 6 years after this happened, our master passed away on August 18th. So this is really interesting. You see, many things make sense in your life later on. Anyway, in those days I still worked in August and worked all year round giving talks. We had about 15, 16 people in the room. Suddenly, from nowhere, a seagull walks into our hall, and you have to walk up some steps, middle of the back street, and then you have to walk in through the corridor. And there's people sitting like this. It walks, and there was a gap in the middle. We always have a gap in the middle because it's a long room. The seagull walks in. My secretary at that time, her name was Sheila, goes, "Ah, don't go near Nellie." Was walking towards me. I said, "Sheila, leave it alone. It's not hurting anyone. Just leave it alone." I tell you, all the people in that room saw that as you saw the dog bow. This seagull walked in, looked at me, I thought it was going to attack me, didn't. Jumped up to the altar, bowed at the altar, went behind me, and flew out. Without hurt, I've never seen that. So I was telling a story about miracles and hope. So I told this story. So this lady, Carmen, said, "Oh, Nalanie, if only God or life would give me a sign, something like that, a bird or something like that, to tell me my daughter is all right, I will let go of this pain." So I just said to her, "Ask, you know, Lord Jesus said, ask and you will receive." Without even thinking twice, I just said it to her. She said, "But I want a miracle like a bird." I said, "I don't think it's going to be that specific." I told her, "I don't think it's going to be that specific." Following Tuesday, Carmen comes in late. We always have a shoe place outside like here. But because she came in late, she put her shoes right outside my office, which is right before the hall. Put it outside there because she was embarrassed about being late. She came into the hall. I finished my talk. Everybody says goodbye. I see her walking in with a sparrow in her hand. You know how sparrows shake when you hold them? Normally. It was tears coming down her eyes. And I go, "Where did you get that bird from?" "No, Nalanie, remember last week I told you I wanted a sign like a bird?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "You know I came late today?" I said, "Yes, doesn't matter, no problem." She said, "That bird was in my shoe." We had about 50 people that day. That bird landed in her shoe. And so I said, and I tried to hold it, but it's panicked. It was only really calm with her. So I said, what you gonna do now? Keep it? And she said, no, I am going to let Julie fly. She's told me she's okay. So she took the bird out. We both walked outside, and she let it fly. Do you know, I never seen anything like that. And I thought, and I said, you wouldn't get a bird? Even I didn't have enough faith as you. And that was seen by so many people who were there that day, so all these can be documented. It wasn't me. It's kind of like the day when I came in here late, and there were 10 of you here, and I was in there, and a Labrador came in. You all saw it, right? And they came and told me, Nalanie, Labrador came in and bowed. Right? So,
A stray dog.
yeah, it just came in. And it wouldn't leave. It didn't want to leave. Yeah. Just came in and bowed.
Nalanie, that happened to me. When my daughter died, my two little girls were 2 and 5. And the 2-year-old was saying, because she put on her mother's coffin her favorite 2 birds from the Ark of Noah. And then she was crying that the birds went with the coffin. And she said, I hope that Mommy will send me at least the feathers back. And for months after her death, everywhere we went, there were white feathers. Everywhere, even in the restaurant, everywhere. And not a one feather, but sometimes covered, like a mat.
You see, it does
Look, I'm
happen.
still getting like this because it was so unreal.
Because the child's cry is so pure.
Yes, it was
You
so,
see?
she said, if I only, she could only send me the feathers back because
But it
It
is
was
like
the
that.
same
It-
with
it-
Chandra and the butterfly.
Oh, Chandra and her
Yeah.
butterfly. Yeah, another story about somebody who just lost her husband last year, and she said she had told him that she wanted him to show her a sign that he was okay. And said, how do you want me to come? She has a butterfly, right?
Yeah.
And so one day she was in the middle of nowhere, in the rock, in an office, stuck inside. And when she had to make a big decision about selling her business or not, because it was the husband's business, and since then she sold it, butterfly landed on her hand and stayed there.
Indoors.
Pardon?
Indoors.
Indoors.
In a busy office.
Indoors. So like that, we've had many in the yoga center. So it's so sometimes these, like you were asking that question, I have seen only when people can really let go is when something so dramatic happens to them. Otherwise, to be very straightforward and honest, unless they're highly spiritually evolved, it takes them a long time to release that pain. A long time. I had another lady who had lost her baby after a few months. 25 years later, she came to, when I was teaching in Marbella, and she came to me, and we did her a little ceremony of, we were doing a puja up at Shanti Som for a blessing of the land, and I said, at the same time, let's do a prayer for your daughter. Let's now really let her go and bury her. So we did a separate ceremony for her. And after that, she called me up the next day. She said, I'm finally free. 25 years. So it's taken a long time. So it does, because losing a child is extremely hard. I know losing a husband was extremely hard. So losing a child must be much, much worse. It takes a long time. But the time is right. The help is sent. I always see when people ask for spiritual help, it comes. When they ask for material things, it takes a bit long. Honestly, I'm sorry. I've seen it. If you ask for somebody in your life, you ask for something, but if you ask to heal, for the spiritual strength to heal through bad times, it comes. You ask for something, really, I see people suffer for years. It's just the way I've seen it for the last 25, 30 years while I've been doing this work, and they keep suffering in the pain because they keep asking for that thing, and that thing is no longer available to them. So let that thing go. It's hard to let go. You can't blame anyone. It's not a blame. It's just when you really finally realize that, you can control nothing. You say, let go. Really let go. That the magic happens. Yes.
Nalanie, are you saying that it's best not to ask for material things, and it is far better to just be spiritually, ask just for God to be in your life?
Yes, I am absolutely saying that. Because I am so convinced that when you do that, whatever you need will be given to you, because you're working for the highest good. Because if you ask God to come into your life, God is everywhere. Where is God? Thou art my father, thou art my mother. That was the second mantra. Thou art my family, thou art my friend, thou art my knowledge, thou art my wealth, thou art everything. That's who God is. That means God is in you, God is in me, God is in so when you know that, how can you behave anything but kind to your world? Even if it hurts you, how could you hurt it back? You cannot. Because you know that this world, everybody is God and everything is God. You cannot. But maybe sometimes you know it, but you cannot experience it. And this is where Sri Patanjali and the Yoga Sutras come in and tells us what practices to do to open up for that experience of God in your life. It tells you what you need to do to open your heart. That's why we do the mantras, that's why we do the meditation, that's why we do the positive affirmations, and that's why we study the spiritual knowledge. So that once we have all the tools, we can really experience the divine. Otherwise it's very hard. I've seen so many people in my life, they do, they have all the knowledge. And maybe they have much more than any of us will ever have. And they've reached high ground in the spiritual world, right? But if they're not kind to people, and I've seen so many, please forgive me, I've heard of so many people going to yoga centers or yoga schools where they're screamed at and shouted at and made to feel like nothing, and the person there saying they're better than everybody else. I mean, students have come and told me this, and I go, what's the point of having all that spiritual knowledge if you haven't really got the knowledge?
And you still got the ego.
You still got the ego. Haven't got the knowledge. Sometimes you have to be tough with your students because they have to learn, but you're doing it to love them. You're not doing doing it to promote yourself. Do you see there's a difference? There's a difference. Because you really, really do know deep inside that everybody is divine. It's just that the mind is sick. And that's how I helped myself to forgive those who hurt me. I say, they're divine, they just don't know it. Their mind is a little sick. So how would you deal with a sick person? Right? You give them medicine, and if they don't listen, you tell them off for not taking their medicine, don't you? So you treat them like a sick person. You don't treat them like divine, because you're so sweet to them sometimes, they'll bite you. They don't understand that language because their mind is sick. So you have to learn, and this is where Sri Patanjali tells us to learn discriminative discernment. And what did I read to you 2 weeks ago what the Bhagavad Gita says? The wise will not disturb the mind of the unwise, but instead teach them by example, by doing it yourself. Don't disturb them. If somebody doesn't understand this and you try to teach them, it will, it'll make them angry. And they'll think you're lecturing them, and they think, oh, you think you know it all, because they have not understood it. Oh, you think you know it just because you have... So, and then you make yourself small, and then you have to justify what you're saying. If you have to justify yourself, then you feel good, bad afterwards. And then they'll manipulate you. And they'll make sure that every time what you say, you have to prove it. So you're totally manipulated. I tell all spiritual people, do not go into debate. If you know the truth, you do not have to debate. You don't have to. If they don't want to accept it, wonderful. That's why I love this master. Truth is one, personality. If everybody is divine, sooner or later, maybe not in this lifetime, they will get there. When they're ready. We don't have the right to tell them when to be ready. However, people will come to our path. They will come to, when you are ready, they will come to you and you'll ask small questions. Oh, why do you practice this? What benefit has it given you? Then you answer. You must answer. That's when you need the knowledge to be able to answer correctly. And even more, you need to live it in your own life so that they see. But anyway, they will not come to you unless you're already living it. You will see, I know many people tell me now more and more people come to them, and I love it, because this is the whole idea about spirituality. When we all get in touch with our soul and our spirit, we have more peace. By itself, you'll be sent work. You don't even have to ask for work. Really, you don't have to. The work will come to you. But the secret is when the work comes to you, are you too busy chasing something else not to see it? That's always the downfall of the spiritual aspirant. Sometimes it's right in front of your face and you can't see it. Because you're thinking it should appear somewhere else. And sometimes it's the simplest thing. This is why, many of you read many of the saints' life, like Papa Ramdas. He said everything was God. Being beaten was God was beating him. Being fed, God was feeding him. When he starved, God was starving him. You know what our spiritual master did? I don't know if you know his story. He was married. Sorry, this is too much cushion for me. I like a little, so I can sit like this. So when he was married, he had 2 children living in India. So working at a temple at that time as the management. Anyway, his wife died suddenly. And he was in so much pain, and his children were still small. And in those days in India, women always looked after the children. So he went to his mom and said, "Mom, now my wife's gone. Please help me look after my sons, and I am going to find God." And he came from quite a wealthy family. So she says, "What do you mean you're going to find God?" He says, "I'm going to find God." So, okay, you go. He said, "Mom, I don't want anything. I'm leaving everything behind. Everything. I don't even want 1 penny." She said, "How are you going to survive?" He goes, "You tell me all my life that God will provide my every need. I'm going to test that." So he went with just 1 thing, and he went a little bit off the road to the next village, sat under a tree, and started to meditate. He knew all about meditation. He was working in a temple. Meditate. First day, no food. And in India, normally when they see a holy person, people give food naturally, right? No food. Second day, no food. 21 days. He just got water from the well. He thought, "I'm dying. Okay, now I know there is no God. I'm going to be gone. There is no God that lives here. I'm going to die. That's it. Finished. No point of me living anyway. We're all going to die in the end. No God. Now I know the truth." At that moment, a lady came up. "Oh, Swamiji, you must be a spiritual sadhu person. Let me feed you." She brought him food. She brought him food. Took him home. Let him bathe. And from that day, he never looked back. He traveled all over India, met many great masters until he came to Master Shivananda. And when he met Master Shivananda, he met all kinds of siddhas. You know what siddhas are? People who have gifts, And in fact, one of the monks that he met, or swamis, was extremely powerful because for so many years doing meditation and the practices, he developed the gift of, all of you have heard of Sai Baba?
Yeah.
No? Okay, that used to manifest ash and rings, and people used to have rings on and whatnot. Anyway, this master used to do that. But Swamiji was like our master was so taken as a student by him. And one day his master was lying down And he said to my master, we need some oil for the lanterns, you know. And my master said, there is no more money, you only have a few cents underneath the bed. And he goes, no point, no problem, I will manifest money. And he manifested money. And he gave it to my master, and my master looked at it, and he said, I cannot accept it. He said, why? We can have anything we want. And he said, because for you to manifest this, it must have been taken out of something else in the universe. Makes sense? It must be stolen somewhere. Must have come from somewhere. I will not buy oil. And from that day, he left the master. It was not what he was looking for. He was looking for something purer than that. Until he came to Master Shivananda. And when he met Master Shivananda, you know, people were around him. Master Shivananda, I don't know if you've ever seen any videos of him, but very few, but he's full of energy, full of joy, big man, you know. And apparently he used to go, from somebody I know that met him, said he used to walk around the ashram telling people, you know, serve, love, give, singing in the ashram all day like this. Serve, love, give, meditate, realize. And he was called Givananda. You know why? He used to give everything away. Take. And all day long he used to write articles, you know. And this was Shivananda. I can tell you lots of stories because I've read it, so many biographies on Master Shivananda. You must, you know. And so when Swamiji first met Master Shivananda, he was sitting there. And he said, Swamiji was sitting on the floor, he said, Master Shivananda, I'm so happy to meet you. Come all over India looking for my teacher. I need to know which is my guru. And he goes, would you like a cup of coffee? And he goes, Swamiji said, coffee? A Swami drinking coffee? He said, you don't like that? Do you want me to drink tea instead? And then he goes, well, no. He said, I know what you would like me to do instead, Master Shivananda. You want me to sit like this, be serious, and then you think I'm your master. And then Swamiji tells this story. He's told us this story a few times. I remember he actually used to do, our master was very funny, he used to do the action. And he goes, no, don't do that, Master Shivananda, be yourself. And then he stayed there. And for those who don't know much about Master Shivananda, if you see the world today, most of the spiritual knowledge that has been imparted is all the disciples of Master Shivananda. It's really quite, and you know, when I went for the World Yoga Conference to represent Integral Yoga International last weekend, you know, most of the different schools that came, all the heads of the different yoga schools were there. With Subramaniam Swami, with loads, Amrita Sai, all of them were there. And you know what was interesting? So many came from the teaching of Master Shivananda. So he really brought forth great disciples, Vishnu Devananda, for those who do know, Krishnananda, Chinmayananda, and now the grandchild of Chinmayananda, Swarupananda. But all these people are now, the great masters have left all during the 1990s and 2000, early 2000. We lost a lot of, Chidananda was another great soul. I remember when I met him, he must have been 82, he was in Coimbatore with my master, these two great souls sitting in front of me. And Chidananda, so skinny, so small, and our master so strong, right? But Chidananda was like in trance. And the both of them calling each other brother. And he was doing St. Francis of Assisi's prayer in trance. It was amazing to watch. And our master so strong, you know. He goes, brother, do not leave us soon. The world needs you. Please, because Chidananda was frail. He wasn't eating much. And isn't it ironical that Chidananda lasted 2 years more than our master Swami Sachidananda? So don't leave, the world needs people like you, please don't leave. You know, but the sight of watching these great souls, I had the great privilege of being in their presence, because there is a presence. And like Mother Teresa, she had a presence. I met her in Hong Kong. I asked to meet her. You know, I was on my way, I didn't even know she was in Hong Kong. I was on my way to Hong Kong to see my father, who was very sick. I went 3 times a year. I promised him that 3 times a year I'd visit him. He had cancer the last 10 years of his life. So it was a promise I made. I went there, and on the plane I thought, you know, Mother Teresa's getting old. Dear God, I really would love to see her one time before she leaves the earth. Anyway, I go to Hong Kong, and guess what? My family's organized for her to speak at the India Club in Hong Kong. And I was like, thank you. See what I asked for? It was a human thing, but it was a spiritual, dynamic thing, you know. So, and you know, I never expected to feel like I did, because I'd already found my master, right? I walked into, it was a garden, it was a big garden, and she came in. I couldn't stop crying. I couldn't stop crying. I was a little bit embarrassed. My friend was next to me, Lux, and it was Lux. Lux, I'm so embarrassed, I can't stop crying because her presence. Just, she's so little. Have any of you met her? She's so tiny. She's really tiny. She came up to here when I hugged her, you know? And, but what a presence. What a presence. These people have presences, they have energy, and you just want to sit there. You know, and so I got her, I got a hug, I got my wish, and I got a blessing. She, God bless you, my child. So I was really blessed. So these great souls do something to the energy field. They shift it. I know she shifted it. I know my master shifted it. It just wakens up. Because if we're all one, we connect at a certain level. There is a soul recognition. So the soul recognizes that. You know, when you're talking at this level, you know, there's a recognition, and at that point, we know we are all one. Till we get our energy get dissipated again, and then we come back together. And this is why the great Shankaracharya of the 6th century said, "Be in satsang, be in satsang." In Bhaja Govindam, he chants satsanga beni sangha. What does it mean? It's a long one. I'm not going to chant it to you. It says, be in good, higher energy. What does satsang mean? Be in the company of the truth. That's all it means. What is the truth? As we all know it, we're energy. Whether you believe in a God or not, we know we are impermanent in this body. We can deny it as much as we want, but we are impermanent in this body. But something in us is permanent. So be in the company of that truth constantly. Because when you're in company of that truth, then all the negativity will dwindle away. It will leave you. And all your attachments that keep you miserable and negative will also dissipate. When that dissipates, you become free. You become a human being, free in your human body. And that word is Jivan Mukti. A Jivan Mukti. A soul that is free in the human body. So even though you're in this body, your mind feels free. Your heart feels free. Even when you're in pain, you still feel free. You don't feel trapped. Even if everybody traps you, you still feel free internally. And if you feel free internally, then nothing can trap you. Nothing can trap you. Because you can be with you. And that's the hardest thing to be happy in you. Even though the external world is falling apart. So difficult to do. And this is what he says, constantly. So this is why, you know, when people are constantly in negative company, be a little careful. Your energy will drain. Have the courage to walk away from it sometimes. You must, for your own sanity. And for the sanity of the other person too. Because if you allow them to hammer you constantly with negativity, you're not helping them also. Here, there, you're their target. Let me throw it at you, another dart. You're allowing them to throw the darts. Do not allow darts to be thrown at you. Unless you can ward them off. Unless you're so strong that you can ward them off. And very few people can take this on a constant You know, you can do it for 24 hours, 64 hours, you can do it for a year, 2 years. You do it for more than that, what happens to you? You get sick. Your energy level will just get worse. So always, and if you have to be in that kind of situation, take breaks. Because sometimes you can't help, you have to be in a negative situation. Then have the courage to say, I'm really drained from this nastiness, this meanness. I love you, but you know what? I need to refresh. I need to refresh myself. And if they call you selfish, then accept it. Let them call you selfish. Don't defend it. Say, yes, if it's saving my own life, then I am. And make you happy. Don't try to defend yourself. Please don't. But I know I need a rest. I need a break. You know, my life is so short. I don't want to spend it in panic for the rest of it. I want to have a break. I want to have a little laughter. Then you come back. You get stronger. Take little breaks. Also, those breaks help you to also see what you are doing wrong to promote that negative feeling. Because it could be something that's irritating in you that you can't see. Sometimes it's like that. You know, you can't see that it's you creating an irritation to somebody else. And so you walk away. And then when you're away from the situation, you see both sides clearly. And then the answers come to you. So take breaks. It's not a bad thing. We're frightened to walk away from things that are difficult. Don't run away. It will never work because you run away from you. Walk away, fix yourself, and then confront the situation. You will be much happier, and the person will be much happier. You can live a happy life together. Why not? And sometimes, you know, people take each other for granted. What can you do? It is the way of the world. Accept that, you know? Accept that. So, just this is all from explaining 2 mantras. Chanted. Obviously, there was something you all needed to hear from those 2 mantras. So, yes, I should get back to the sutras. I just saw that we had some newcomers today, and maybe it might be too heavy. So let's see what other sutra comes to our path now. Oh, do you know Karen's 50th birthday was on Sunday? Well, wish her happy birthday. Well, wish her happy birthday. Do you have any questions? Anything you'd like to ask before I continue? So now you know why we chant all these mantras. And how deep they go. How deep they go. They go really, really deep. Each mantra is so symbolic. All the truths, if you learn all the mantras that I've given you by heart, and really say them with meaning in the beginning, that's all you need. And look at the one at the end that we should say, which we haven't learned really. Om Savisham Swastir Bhavantu Savisham Bhavantu Punam Bhavatu. What does that mean? Auspiciousness be unto all. Perfect peace be unto all. Fullness be unto all. Prosperity be unto all. Perfect health be unto all. Happiness be unto all. May all see good in everyone. May all be free from suffering. Isn't that a beautiful prayer? Such a beautiful prayer. Maybe we'll do it next time and then you can learn it. Yes, you had a question.
How do you find this perfect peace? A very close friend of mine died about 3.5 weeks ago. And I went to see her about 12 hours before she died. She knew I was there and I was talking to her and she looked so beautiful. And I said, Jenny, you are at peace. And she just managed to there was slight pressure. And you know, she did look so beautiful and she was totally at peace.
Wow.
It's something she never talked about, but I could see it in her.
Yeah.
She was beautiful.
Yeah. You can recognize it. See, it's hard to say how, why, when, but you recognize it when you see it. This is why it's so important for us to constantly practice or have some spiritual knowledge, because when you come to the point of when you're going to go, you remember this, and then you can see your body deteriorating. Like my husband did. He always say he didn't believe in yoga. At the end, he was the best yogi I knew. He was at perfect peace. And he even said, "Nalanie, put on the mantra for me." Wow, he never asked me to put on mantras. He used to complain because that mantras on all day long. Put on the mantras. Talk to me of God. Why can't I see your master? I want to see him. I want to see your father. See, my father was extremely spiritual. I want to see him. I said, you will. So, yes, you can't, you just know that, then I knew that all the things I had said to him had obviously gone in. And sometimes people don't like to show. That's why never judge a book by its cover. Sometimes people look really like, I don't believe this, but they're so soft inside. And I've met many in my life. They're so soft and so kind inside. They're really good people. I've seen so many, so never judge a book by its cover. You just don't know where the peace will come from, but you recognize it when you see it. And all I can say, for me, it's come through practice. Observing what I'd studied in the sutras. And like my guru, I said, I don't believe this is true, that if I practice non-violence, violence won't come to me. But as I saw, as I practiced non-violence, less and less violent things happened to me. Now, I was never violent physically as a human being. But in my mind, there was some violence, anger. And why has this happened to you? Complaining. For me, that's all violence now. Violence is so deep. So deep for me. Even a negative thought for me is violence today. But at that time I hadn't realized that I was full with negative thoughts and violent. And that's why things kept going wrong. I was violent with me. I was angry at the world. I was angry, so who lives with the anger? So the practice of letting go my anger towards somebody else, the practice of not blaming anyone for where I stood in life, the practice of accepting pain, of letting go of this blame. You know, you want to hold on to feeling sorry for yourself. Haven't you noticed? You want to say but. And the more you hold on to this, the less free you are. So the letting go of that is painful too. You know, do not say poor me syndrome. Letting go of that was painful. And that's why I understand tapas, you know. And then when you finally do all that, one day you get up and you just, something happens that would normally upset you and you feel, you laugh. You find it funny. And you don't know why. And then you go, wow, yoga works. Which is what happened to me. Yeah.
Be the peace.
Be the peace. Yeah. Absolutely.
That's
Simply
important.
be the peace. Be the peace. Yes.
Is there like any of these mantras to sort of like help you to sort of like strengthen your own shield in a way for the negativity?
Yeah, you know they say the Gayatri mantra is particularly good for negativity. And you know your friend Geeta, she's the one who taught me that it works. Because when I met Geeta Roseanne, some of you know her as, she was extremely negative. You know, everything was like depressing, bad. And then what happened was, we all went to the ashram together. I think it was 17 of us, and she came with us. And of course, they were all, my group of people were going to perform for my master, and they were going to sing the Gayatri mantra. And so every day she was singing, practicing. And then she came to my room one day and said, Nalanie, I need to talk to you. Yeah, what's wrong? She said, you know, my mind can be very negative. I said, I know. She said, you know, it's really odd. Since I've been here, I have no negative thought, just love thoughts. She said, what's happening to me? What are you doing different? I asked her. She said, I'm singing the Gayatri mantra every day because we're practicing it. I said, do you know the Gayatri mantra is meant to reduce the negative? And you've proven to me now it's worked. So yeah, they say that by repeating, this is, you know, again, ritual, and then later you go beyond. You start with ritual and then you let the ritual go later. They say in India that you should repeat the Gayatri mantra 11 times sunrise 11 times sunset, and within a few days you will see a lot of negativity go. But you need to say it with a feeling, not just rote like the hour
But it's
father.
also sort of like a shield for other people's negativity.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, if you get peaceful, their negativity
exactly.
doesn't matter.
Yeah,
But that takes
exactly.
time to develop that. Takes
Yeah.
time. Builds up your force field.
Yeah.
Build up your force. Wonderful. Mantras build up the force field. They do. They do add a protective shield. I've been brought up with it all my life with my family, so I do know it works. I just needed to prove it.
What's the name of it?
Gayatri. You know it. Om Bhurva Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurva Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Yeah, you know it. That's the Gayatri mantra. And if you don't know it, put on Deva Pramal's version. It's brilliant. Do you know Deva Pramal? And any of you not know her? She's a beautiful, beautiful German singer that sings these beautiful mantras. And she sings different mantras from all the different traditions as well. Not only Sanskrit, American Indian, Jewish, all traditions. And her music is heavenly. Her name is Deva, D-E-V-A, Pramal, P-R-E-M-A-L. If you don't have her CD, buy it.
So it's all over YouTube.
It's all over
Just
YouTube.
put it on YouTube.
Yeah. She's extremely. Yeah, she just did a tour of all Europe, I believe. Yeah, and she was in Barcelona, I think, about 3 weeks ago, right? Yeah, and apparently my friend from Portugal, Nalanie, you must go to a concert in Barcelona. She saw her in Portugal and fell in love with her. I said, oh, I know her music really well. I haven't seen her at concert, but I've known her music for many years. And she has a gift in her voice. You know, some people have this gift when they sing, they impart this peace, Jayo, right? And Deva Pramal has this gift that when she sings, you receive her peace. You receive it. Yeah, it's a gift. So listen to her version, and I think just put it 24 hours in your house a day. It clears the energy. It clears the energy. Yes? Anything positive. Make holy water. You know that also, right? If anything negative comes to your home, now all of you know about water, do you? All know that they've proven that water takes in all the energy. You know that our body is between 75 to 80% of water. So, and they did experiments. What was his name? Emoto, yeah. I think most of you know about his experiments with water. You don't know? Well, he did experiments with water which are known all over the world today. They did group practices where one group of people would bless the water, pray on it, and the other group would insult it and be really nasty and swear at it. The molecules of the water that was praised and loved, after they praised and loved, were beautifully formed. And he pictured this. The molecules of the water that was cursed and angry and all that were disturbed. You could see they were random. If you have, it's all over the internet as well. And he proved,
I just wrote this.
you did. Oh, Ole Kanisha, you're just a gem. You're just a gem.
It's
Can you
Danish,
show
but
everybody?
it's Danish, but the photos are.
Yeah. So if we can just pass it to show everybody here.
Yes, definitely. What's it called?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, he's made many books, but his name is Masuro Emoto.
Yeah, maybe pass it later. Maybe pass it later after the class, yeah? So it'll be nice to pass it after the class to take a look at it. And now, in all traditions, what do you have? You go to the church and?
Water, hot water.
Oh, wow. All traditions I know. In our home, every time when my mom does a prayer, holy water. Before we travel, holy water. Every day she makes us holy water. Every day since I was a child, all of her children, we have to take one sip of holy water before we went to school. Tradition.
But no life without water.
No,
No
life,
life,
yeah.
yes, without food, yeah, but no water.
Yeah.
Yes.
Water is the magic.
Like Gurudev did not eat for 21 days, but he had water, right? But, or more days, I don't know what it was. I have to read his Apostle of Peace again. It's a long time since I read it. So, anyway, so water has so much energy. And I remember many years ago, this was my own, you see, you do it when you practice yourself, then you know it works. So, you know, you do it yourself. People go, oh, should I get this? No, do it yourself. You don't need anybody to help you. God is in you. Do it with love and things work. So many years ago, I remember when I first started to practice, I was working in my shop, and obviously one of my staff members just got married, and she said that there was a poltergeist in her house, that the washing machine would go on at 3 o'clock in the morning and 4 o'clock in the morning, things would move around in her house. It was a very old house on Main Street in Gibraltar. She had called the priest in, he'd done prayers in her home, nothing worked. So I said, who loves your home more than you? Nobody, right? This is your home. So I told her to make some holy water by saying, she knew the hour, she was a Catholic, so I said, do that Our Father and Hail Mary. Every day you make water in a crystal glass, make sure it's crystal. Blue crystal apparently is going to be very healing. So get blue crystal, put it in the sun, this is more effective. You put your hand over it and you start praying and blessing your home, thinking beautiful thoughts of your home. And I want you every day, 3 times a day, as you have to go on lunch break, sorry. 3 times go sprinkle your house and wish it love and put good energy and sprinkle every corner of every room, especially your washing machine that goes on at 3 o'clock in the morning. She did it for 10 days. It stopped. It stopped. It stopped. And she told me, you know, it's really nice when people tell you. So after that, because I learned it because of a tradition. But it's nice to get proof from people who haven't done it as a tradition, right? So after that, so many people I've seen, you know, who've got problems in the home, negative energy. I said, you don't need me, because who loves you, your people, your husband, your son, your daughter more than you? Nobody, you know? So you put that love without judgment into that water, pray over it, and every day you give your child little to drink. Wish it well, bless the child, wish it love, wish it no matter how much pain you're suffering, the love has to be unconditional. And you know, I have heard so many stories about people healing. So many. They've come back and told me, you know. So it's a natural thing for me. I just, whenever I do house prayers, I just, now in Portugal, I just did a prayer for the house and I asked, Nalanie, will you bless it? I said, no, I'll teach you how to bless it. I'll say the prayers, I'll do the mantras, you bless it. Your energy, you're living here, I'm going to go away. You know? So she did it. And you know, after that, she said to me, that night we went out for dinner. Her mom and her took me out for dinner. And they said to me, she said to me, oh my God, I already feel my house has changed. Because she's done it there. Do you see? Really, what is it? Your faith that creates the energy in the water. It's your love that creates it. That's why it keeps telling us, all the scriptures, you are divine. You are that. Somebody said Nalanie and wanted a question, and I did.
We actually did it with Sandra Ingerman, you know, the shamanic lady. She changed the pH of water. She got water that was actually sewage. And just by being in the room, not even with the intention of doing anything with the water was just there, but we were like toning, as in, you know, as opposed to mantras, just the toning and holding the toning and bringing in the spirit. She actually changed it up 2 degrees and you could actually drink it. She had scientists in afterwards to check it.
Now they're all proving this. Talk about scientists. I was just invited for this World Yoga Day conference in Portugal. I really did not want to go because I thought, you know, it wouldn't be interesting. But I tell you, it was amazing. We had doctors, we had scientists. They are now proving yoga works. Now, 10 years ago, I went to a conference and it was all about egos. Now I went to a World Yoga Conference and it was all medically being proven. Not only that asanas, which are the yogic postures, help to heal, you may not be cured. All of them came up with the same conclusion, but you will be healed. But you cannot do it without the Yoga Sutras of Sri Patanjali, which is what we're studying. This is the advancement in the last 10 years. I was so excited because many of these scientists have only just come across Sri Patanjali. And even a psychologist from Norway, she was a doctor, and what she's trying to do is introduce yoga in all schools in Norway. She's trying to, because she's involved in media, and now she's trying to show scientific studies on how yoga does work, but more than the physical, the spiritual aspect. They're all starting to prove this now. It was an amazing conference. Fantastic. Doctors, we had somebody, a scientist from NASA, also saying that they found out that when they put people on a spaceship, because they were exercising for years, and he was involved. He was asked to go there to help with, because he was a yogi himself. The exercises didn't make a difference to their muscle tone. What did? Meditation and studying right thinking. Studying right thinking made a difference. Because when they came back to Earth, even with all the exercise, it took them a long time for their body to rebalance because of the gravity. It was really an interesting conference, but what made me so happy was now it's going to be proven. People who are important in the world, in the medical world, in the educational world, are all now saying, come on, let's start to do something about, and they have influence because they got all the PhDs behind their name, so people will listen. And for me, this was so wonderful to see that they're actually proving it by statistics.
It only
Like
took
what?
5,000 years. It only took 5,000 years.
Yeah, it took 5,000 years, but it's reached that age, and guess what? We are living in this age. So we are witnessing the spirit awakening in our world, even through science. Look at that with water. Now reincarnation will be next as well. It's very exciting. We live in very brilliant times where human minds and human hearts are opening out. It's fabulous to see. I just think, and even they themselves were saying they were living in very interesting scientific times going on to the spiritual dimension. It was really great, Yes.
Why do we need to prove it? Because we know it's there.
Yeah.
So why are we worried whether the PhDs and all these higher people
We're not
believe it? We don't need to worry about it.
We don't. We don't, because we believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, but 90% of the world, or even 80% of the world, wrote faith. They don't really know. For them, this is needed. For them, for those who already know, no problem. You don't need all the PhDs. And in fact, when I spoke, the interesting thing was, I spoke from a totally different point of view. I spoke from life experience and how, I said, I'm different from all of you. I said, in the sense that I came into yoga because I wanted to know if there was a God and who God was. And if there was a God, I wanted to know God before I died. And that was my opening sentence. And so I spoke from the premises of being a human being, as a mother, as a grandmother, as a woman in business, etc. And they said that I woke them all up. So that was the compliment I got after they all spoke. They said, you're the only one that woke us all up, And that's the ultimate truth. Love heals. Because I said the ultimate truth is if you don't have love in your heart, and you don't treat everybody kindly, then you don't know God. And they all realized, and I was really quite touched when they came afterwards and said, Nalanie, what's the ingredient? I said, all comes from Sri Patanjali and fixing myself. And learning through my life, not running away from my life to prove all these scientific proofs, but to make it valid in my life, in my everyday life. Because what's the point to talk about it if you don't live it every day? And of course, living every day means you have to learn to love what you don't like also. And I spoke about such a simple thing as, with all these people, I said, I never liked washing dishes. You talk about healing. I came from a very wealthy family, had maids all my life. Never had to wash a dish. My life was just going to be intelligent, I said. And when I got married, my husband wasn't as wealthy, so no maids, no nothing. So I had to learn to wash. What happened to me? I got angry. I did it because a good Indian girl has to do her duty, and I was Indian, and you're not supposed to complain, but boy, did I complain inside, burn dishes. But not only that, I said, what happened to me, I developed eczema in both hands. I used to bleed. I was so angry, both hands. See, my fingers are very wrinkled from all the cortisone I've used in my life, right? Till the age of 20 to 35, after I got married. So, I was so angry that my hands came out in eczema. But when I studied Sri Patanjali and started to let go of that anger, why the world should be like this and that, within 6 months, the eczema started to go. I remember the first visit to Hong Kong, and this is the story I told them. I said, it wasn't the Hatha Yoga, it wasn't the asana. It was letting go of my anger and feeling sorry for myself. I said, basically, that's the truth. You know, and starting to love everything and not complain about where I was, but fall in love with where I was. And when I started to wash dishes with love, say I was washing dishes for God, it went. So, and these are the examples I used as scientific experiments, better than any science experiment. You try it. Just try it yourself. And of course they all agreed because they've all been trying to prove this. So we do need them because there's a lot of people who hoo-ha these things. And you don't blame that because that's how they were brought up to think. You know, and of course with all this in our generation, I mean, we're intelligent. All the wars that are caused now is because of what? God. People use the word God. All religious wars, look at it. You know, my religion, your religion, Muslim, Catholic, this one, that one. So people don't even want to know the word God anymore. For God did nothing, it's human ego that did it all. It's power plays, it's really political power plays, that's all it is. So many people are going away from that. So, but they need something. They need to bring the spirit back. And the only way they can bring the spirit back is we need these people. I realize how important these people are in the world. And they need, and you know, when they can prove it, then the world will listen. We'll get more people to listen. Maybe then, oh, the scientists have said it works, the doctors have said it works, let us introduce it in school. You know, Nalanie talks, oh, high spiritual. What does she know? She's a yogi. Do you see? We need these people in the world. They make a big difference. You know, just Emoto. No, I always forget his name. Ole.
I forgot.
Masuro
Emoto.
Yeah.
Masuro Emoto.
Okay, thank you. So, you know, look, he had to prove it to people scientifically. And now everybody is saying, oh, we have 70% water, they're respecting, we shouldn't be thinking bad thoughts. Do you see? They're respecting water, they're sprinkling things because now they see pictures. It's been proving. Even spiritual people are using water in a better way. Do you see? So that's why we need it. So they're very necessary. And as they do the scientific proofs themselves, while they're working on these proofs, they'll be working on themselves. Yeah. You see? So it's really interesting. Yes?
I have a question of something that's been confusing me for a while.
Please.
If you can be spiritual without being religious, then when you talk about God, who is God? Who is God?
So you superimpose it with divine consciousness. You superimpose the word. You can say there is an energy, there is, you know, I use the word God because of my upbringing. It holds no negative or positive connotations. But for the world today, especially young people, You know what I do with young people? I said, do you feel there is something in the energy field? And the word they love, I have noticed, is the word force. There is a force.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's from
Yeah.
Star Wars or whatever, one of the
Exactly.
movies. But many children, you know, I was telling you that a few weeks ago I had a child who was I had two children that were bullied. And of course they weren't brought up with the word God. But then we talked about the force, you know, we feel it. And when you get frightened, do you ask for help? Yes. So who are you asking for help from? Why do you ask for help? I don't know, Nalanie, there's something in me. They come out. I said, you see, that's something in you? It's very strong, stronger than you think it is. And of course, this boy was a bit of a coward because he was being bullied. After 4 weeks, he came to me on the 4th week. He said, you know, Nalanie, I told them off today. I said, you see, you are not cowardly. What have you done? He said, I've awakened the force in me. That's it. By being conscious of it, that's yoga.
Yeah.
He's conscious, there's a force. I told him, maybe you can't do it, but the force can do it for you. You're praying to the force, ask it. I said, oh, by the way, because his family is Catholic, I said, do you know that Lord Jesus said, ask and you shall receive. So you talk to children like that, I will talk to you, you know, and they really understand. They really understand. And you know, children with nightmares, it's the same thing, you know. And one child, nothing about God. So also you have to work with the level of the person as well. But understood football. This is a child I had a few years ago who had terrible nightmares. He didn't understand God, but loved football. So for that child, when he used to get bad nightmares, I talked to him about force of God, no understand. So I said, what's your favorite football player? Who do you love? You know, what game do you love? I said, every time you get scared at night, think of that football game. It was a step. Do you see? It's one step. But that's all that child could do at that time. If I start to talk about God, the family had zero belief system, they would have gotten upset. Why he even came to me, I don't know. But it worked. He stopped the nightmares. And in his path, in his life, when the force is introduced to him, he will know. He will know. I just know that at that time, that's what works. See, sometimes it's not about what we know. I often tell the story of Shanti's father. And this is why the wise will not disturb the mind of the unwise. When he had cancer and he was nearly about to pass away, she had asked me, Nalanie, will you see him? And I said, you know, but why would he want to see me? He doesn't even know me. Her mother was a Jehovah's Witness, and her father didn't believe in anything. He had too much of God in his life. Okay? Too much God, God, God. He just didn't want to know God. Okay? You can understand that, right? So anyway, I went to the home and I talked to him. I said, can I talk to him privately? So I said, how are you feeling? He says, you know, I'm so depressed. And I said, why? He said, all they're trying to make me do is listen to these God tapes all day long. I don't want to listen, it's making me miserable. I'm so angry, you know. I just want to get well, I want to laugh. So I said, you don't believe in God? He says, no, and these people are driving me crazy. I said, do you believe in laughter? I said, you want to laugh? He said, yes, I want to laugh. I want my mates to come in and tell me some jokes. Fine. So I called Shanti. I said, Shanti, you've been killing him. You and your mom have been killing him. How can you force somebody to drink poison when they're not ready for it? For them it's poison. What is one man's nectar, Bhagavad Gita, is another person's poison. Even God, right? So look at that, right? So I said, I want you to put him some comedy shows, get a TV in his room, and let him laugh. Take away all these books. So she's a good girl, she listened. And I told the mother, please, he's just not handling all of this. Anyway, a few weeks later, I got a call at 6 o'clock in the morning, and Gibraltar Hospital is very near. That was one good thing I could do in Gibraltar. Everything was near, so I was always in the hospital every week, 3 or 4 times. So, Nalanie, when you come, my father's going. He won't want to see me, I don't think. You know, he associates me with yoga. No, he's happy to see you. So I went in, and he was so happy to receive me. The rest of the family not. Right, because I was yoga. But he was so happy to see me, and I just took his hands, and I just repeated a couple of mantras softly. He smiled, he was happy, and Shanti is the one who saw him to die. She held his hand, said mantras, and gave him the peace to die. And she was the one who helped him in the end. So you see, you just don't know. All you do is what elevates the mind. From there, it's not our job. We're not here to control how people see God. All we know is, like what you said earlier on, that sense of peace. That sense of peace. And this is why when Gurudev said, make peace your God. That is my secret. And I think when you have peace, you have God. Make peace your God. It covers every situation and teaches you how to work in every situation. All right? And this is the importance of these practices. And you know, we think sometimes we're helping someone and we are not. So this is the wisdom we have to develop. So where is God in everyone? The way they know it at the time they know it. Okay? So that's how you adjust your words. So if you are talking to an audience who's not ready for it and you want to uplift them, talk about force, talk about there's a consciousness. Sometimes you can always bring in a story. Haven't you heard stories of people who are so weak and suddenly there's an accident and they can lift a whole car? What do you call that extra force? Where did it come from? You give little stories like that to people so that they recognize the word really, faith. No thinking, you know, when people are in an emergency situation, what really happens is Sri Patanjali, right? No thoughts. They're just, what is the first thing? To save, right? No thoughts. They can lift heavy cars. They can do things that they normally can't do. What? No thoughts. When the moment the thought, I can't comes in, that's it. And I'll finish off, because I realize it's already 7:30, with a story that our master used to tell about how thoughts can change your whole way of thinking. It's very simple. It's a nice one to tell the children. And even grown-ups. Because we're all basically children. And it's nice that we, you know, Master Chinmayanandaji used to say, be childlike. Be childlike, but do not be childish. Be childlike. Always have that joy of a child, but don't be childish. So this story goes like this. There was a boy in a village, and he was very carefree. He lived with his grandmother. His parents had died. He lived with his grandmother. And the king of that village had a big elephant, and every day the ministers are to take this elephant to give it water by the river. So they used to have a traumatic time because the elephant used to push them away, and they're quite strong. And they'd struggle with this string. But this boy would happily come to the elephant and talk to it, and the elephant would go with the boy to the river. So the ministers went back and told the king, said, you know, we have such a tough time. We take strings, we pull him, and this boy comes and talks to the elephant follows him to the river. I wonder what it is, the king said. It must be that the boy is fearless. Because fearlessness gives you great power. So, let's see if we can make this boy a little fear. Put a little fear into his mind, and let's see how it works, if he still has the power. So anyway, they went to the grandmother, the ministers, said, has your grandson ever worried about anything? No, he's carefree, happy-go-lucky boy, sweet boy. I cook for him, I look after him. He's there, has a lot of faith in everything. No problems. Please, for the king, can you do us a favor? Please tell the boy today that you are too poor and you cannot afford to buy salt to put in the food. So the boy came home that day and grandmother said, "So why is the food not salty, Granny?" He said, "Because I'm too poor now, I cannot put salt in the food." So the boy went to sleep worried. "Oh my God, my grandmother's too poor. Where are we going to get salt from? What are we going to do? How can I help her? I'm just a little boy." All the worry started to come that night to his head. Next day, he walked to the elephant. Could the elephant go down to the water? It wouldn't follow the boy, because it could sense the boy's fear and worries. It could sense it. Animals can sense. Well, you people are better than me at this. You all have animals. I've just got one. Most of you have had them for life, so you know they're more sensitive. They can tell you when something bad is going to happen. They have psychic powers, you know. And so this animal was aware of that. And that's how thoughts affect us. Sri Patanjali, what's second sutra? Yogas. The restraint of the modification of the is yoga. And what happens when you restrain those thoughts? The seer abides in its own true nature. And that's how it describes God. You abide in your own true nature. And the description of your own true nature of God is truth, knowledge, bliss, absolute. So that's why they call people like Swami Satchidananda avatars, Lord Jesus avatars, Buddha avatars. Why? Because they constantly abide in truth, knowledge, bliss, absolute. That's why they call them sons of God. Are you recognizing it now? Because they are always abiding there. Always abiding there. And of course, then if you got all this one energy in a simple tool, what will happen? You will abide too. You will receive that energy too when you're in that person's circumference. And this is what the Hindus call darshan. When you're in that energy, you receive the vision of light. And that's darshan. That's what it means. Got it? Are you putting all the threads together now? You're very clear. I love it when you're clear. You know, because it's exciting when people are clear. Because then you go home happy. And at least for 1 or 2 days you will abide in that. And that's good enough, because if you have 1 or 2 days, then you have 10 days, then you have 20, and then you'll have every day, and more and more and more and more as the years go by. And this is what Sri Patanjali says, be patient, be patient. You have many lifetimes. You don't achieve it in this one, but every day that you drink the Spirit makes you stronger. And this is our spiritual food. And if you don't feed yourself every day, how are you going to have enough to eat? So you have to feed yourself every day. Don't forget to feed yourself with the best food of all. And what's the best food of all? Love, love, love. Love. Love, love, love. But love doesn't mean silly love, like possessive love, please. Or manipulative love. Please, no more manipulation. We live in an era where people love to manipulate to get power and pretend they love, but they really want to manipulate. Please, no more of that. Better to have a simple soul with pure love than one who has a lot of knowledge with no love. Better to be that. Be that. What did you say? Be in it. Be the peace. Be the peace. We should have a big sign here. Be the peace. Right there. Everybody walks in and out sees it. Be the peace. So next job I'll do. Put it up there. Be the peace. And that's what we need to do. Thank you. It's late. I'm sorry. We'll finish off. with a 1-minute meditation, and we'll wish Karen happy birthday after that. Please close your eyes. Inhale deeply and exhale fully and completely. Inhale again. Feel the cool, clean air enter your body. And as you exhale, feel all the stress, tension leave your body. We will just stay quiet for 1 minute. May all be filled with peace and joy, love and light. Om Shanti, 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 Shanti. Thank you. I think that's all I'm allowed to speak today. Thank you for coming. Thank you for your